my friends, before we get this video started, just giving you the date of Wrenchworks giveaway number 11, officially dropping, not this Friday, next Friday, the 12th. So stay tuned, get geared up, but next Friday we are dropping the latest giveaway, and let me tell you what, they keep getting better, they keep getting, it's just like, I'm speechless. You guys are gonna love it, but make sure you guys are ready, mark it down. Let's get this video going. Welcome back to another video in the shop on the weekend, working on the shorty. As you can tell, we are diving a little deeper. We got the bed off. I was contemplating on whether I should or shouldn't empty the bed because it's completely full of parts. 10 out of 10 should have definitely pulled that crap out of the bed. One thing I will tell you guys, it's kicked my butt before. If you guys put a roll pan on your truck and you go to lift the bed straight up, you're gonna have a problem because the roll pan actually goes underneath the body just a little bit. And ask me how I know, but it will hit on the bottom of the frame rail. So you need to kind of shift it back before you go all the way up. So hopefully that saves somebody somewhere. If you guys remember in a previous shorty video, I want to go ahead and drop the tank. We've got a couple issues that we're going to be fixing all at the same time. When they shortened it, obviously you can see the factory fuel lines are kind of just looped, as is this brake line here, which I didn't know about. So we're going to go ahead and kind of clean up that, take care of that. We want to change our filler neck. And again, it's just kind of a miscellaneous, quite a few things that we're going to be easier with the bed off. We've got some Caltracs that integrate in with our front leaf spring, kind of our traction bar system that we're going to run on the shorty. Way easier to do with the bed off. Also, we'll probably drop a couple leaves out of it. Way easier to do with the bed off. So just a lot of easier with the bed off material. Started out going to rob a unmessed with filler neck, actually off of the red parts truck out there, and we actually made a discovery. The rear section of the factory truck harness here that kind of has all of the tail light plugs and everything, like everything else on the truck has kind of been modified and changed quite a bit, and it's seen some better days. While I was grabbing this filler neck, I was like, man, the harness on this truck, the truck harness that goes all the way up to the cab, is actually in much better shape. So we're gonna go ahead and grab that off that truck. I believe it should be the same part number. Worst case, I can just section in kind of the rear section here, because that can't happen right there. We got some hard brake lines in this section that aren't super hot. We've got some e-brake cables that were kind of too long. We are going to reuse the lighter racing / street brake kit on this truck. And when you go to do that anyway, you can't use your factory e-brake cables. So kind of getting rid of those is not really that big a deal. If you had a manual truck, definitely be a huge deal, but on an automatic truck, not completely the end of the world. Just like every shorty video, I'm sure we are going to make some form of discovery. The other thing that's really cool that I didn't really plan for, because I really wasn't planning on jumping to the 05's old turbo setup right away, is when we get rid of this thing that goes to the back of the truck right here, we actually gain access to the entire side of that frame rail to run stuff. And on a 68 RFE, the transmission lines are on the passenger side. So we inherently have all this room to run our new transcooler in the back here. We've possibly able to kind of utilize battery. Just you gain a lot more room, and on this truck there's just no room by the time you stuff a transfer case and all that stuff up in there. So maybe, just maybe, these are the trans lines that were on it. Maybe they will be long enough to reach all the way back here. I'm guessing no, because why would that work out? But anyway, that is where this video is starting. Let's see how far we get, and let's just see what kind of improvements that we can do. And that's what we're after. That's all you can ask for, right? I think that's all I got for you. Wrenchworks giveaway number 11 coming at you ASAP. So get ready, boys. This tool right here, this tool, if you guys do not have, this is a 100% worth getting a very nice, I've used this so much lately, and I'm like, how did I ever live without a nice one of these? The body tool mount to get all this stuff loose without messing them up, worth it, 10 out of 10. Tech tool tip of this video. Check it out, harness removed. Again, huge score actually. We've got the factory trailer plug connection. We have got the factory taillight stuff. What are the chances? And I haven't looked yet. I looked to see if there was a part number on this harness. And again, that was a 68 truck, 67. This is a 68 transmit. I think the transmission have to do something, maybe because of the lights, maybe? Who knows? What are the chances that you think they're the same part number? This harness is in insanely much nicer shape. Honestly, this can be cleaned up. This doesn't need to be reloomed. And every single factory little Christmas tree, besides I think one or two, all popped out. Thanks to our tool, wherever that thing went. Without that tool, goodness gracious, you already know. These things say goodbye. Anyway, we'll double check that harness, what the difference is before we go ahead and run that in and call that good. And again, if it's just the rear section, we can always just tie that in as well. So either way, this is a huge win. The parts truck is just really coming in handy here recently. So next up on the list, more teardown. Fuel tank is out. We've actually made a little discovery on the harness here, comparing this truck's to the parts truck. I'm not even sure how I didn't even think about this, but spoke to Kyle real quick, our parts guy. He's like, well, this truck used to be a regular cab dually long bed, didn't it? And that's a quad cab short bed. I mean, the harness numbers are going to be different because number one, it's a dually. They probably have dually fender lights, so that harness has some extra plugs in it, which I didn't even, duh me. Moving on to the fuel tank, we're gonna pop open this thing, see what kind of cleaning we need to do. Our man Ian from Florida, also dealership guy, I know he's gonna be watching. He's gonna be happy that I'm using this OTC tool here and not slamming a screwdriver against the locking ring. Either way, but if you're looking for a tool, we're gonna see how this bad unit works. He got us that, so thank you, Ian. Our factory fuel lines right here. So factory feed, factory return. Factory feed, obviously, we're not even using. It's just kind of like dead in there. Factory return, we're going to go ahead and just run a brand new line back to the tank. This is kind of where the FLEECE SureFlow sending unit kind of comes in. If your sending unit wasn't working, you can go ahead and just replace it with the non-pump version, that's what the SureFlow is. The lift pump version is the PowerFlow. But what would be nice and what we might end up picking up is that one without the pumps in it. Obviously, we're using the air dog that's on the truck, but we've got these factory style connections and we've got our feed and return. Technically, we're not even using our feed, but we could use a nice AN style, which the SureFlow has the AN style fittings on the top there. That could actually really help us kind of plumb this a lot nicer and then cap off, because right now there's really no way if I remove that line we just have to basically throw a plug or a cap or something over that, which will get the job done, but it would be nicer if we could just run that to AN style. Just in case you guys have not seen me talk about this, here's the FLEECE SureFlow, not the PowerFlow. So this has no pumps, and those are the fittings. You can unscrew those. You can go to factory connections. You can go to AN connections, but they got the O-ring. They have got the fittings, and you can change them to any type of AN stuff, or just cap them. So that's probably our girl right there. Well, regardless of what tank this is or isn't out of, it's I did some digging. I couldn't help myself. Look what I found. Look what I found. That's the unit that we have, and that is a 02 to 03 1500 tank. I was gonna say there's no way that's a diesel tank, but that is a late gas tank. Cool. Well, at least we solved that mystery of this evening. This sending unit was definitely trimmed, and there's no insert sleeve that they usually like suction into, or an O-ring or anything like that, because there definitely usually is one of those, and that was definitely trimmed for whatever reason. Oh yeah, I already see it, boys. I already see it. Inside the tank is really, it's not too terribly bad. Inside, man, this is always where the crap is, right? Inside here, on the other hand, nasty. Oh yeah, that is healthy in there, boys. That is good for those injectors. Yummy. Nice. Needless to say, I don't think we're gonna go back with that anyway, so I don't even know if I'm gonna waste the time to clean it. There is quite a bit of fuel in that tank, so we'll probably just go ahead and figure out how to save that first, get our new part in, because we've got some other stuff coming from the guys at Fleece, so I'll just kind of add that on. The other news is we actually, it's in the truck outside and it's dark by now, but we got a new door. We have a new door for this side, so no more mismatched doors. We just need to kind of get it test fit and painted, but this is getting set off to the side. We're gonna keep rocking on. Again, I'm just gonna do a quick update, doing the suspension now. Got the passenger side leaf spring out of the truck. As you guys can see and count, I'm sure you can count that high. Got him! The truck already had 4 leaf springs, which is already pretty low count. We're gonna try and go down to 2. Michael has said he has run 2 before, so the way that this thing was sitting, I don't doubt that it's gonna need 2, and what we're gonna be doing with it, it's probably gonna work out fine. Normally, I would never recommend going down to 2 leafs, especially if you're gonna use the truck, but we're gonna compensate with some good shocks, all that stuff, have no fear. So we're gonna run 2, we'll see how it does, because I think 3 is just gonna be a little too high, and to achieve our height that we want, besides 4-linking it, this is what we're gonna try and do first. So we've got our Calvert Racing, the quote-unquote Cal tracks is what we're gonna run. And the reason why these are a little bit more involved of a install, if you guys haven't seen them before, these bushings actually get pressed into the front hanger here where the bolt goes through, and the new ones gets pressed in. These actually have like an internal bushing, and that is basically your pivot point. So Calvert Racing, Caltrax, OG leaf spring drag racers of the day designed this kit here. So when your truck goes to launch and your axle wants to pivot, it is now rotating up against this, which is putting tension the way this bracket sits. So as the bar goes like this is actually pivoting up on this bushing right here, and this top little bar kind of rests right there. You guys will see when we're done, but the involved part of this is kind of pressing that bushing out, pressing your new bushing in, and then it can kind of go back together. We might run into some bolt issues and some hardware issues. The U-bolts that they give you are meant for obviously a factory truck, so we don't have threads up high enough, and I'm not sure if those ones that are on the truck will work. I might have some stuff here, who knows? We'll see what we can do. It is still the weekend, so definitely not gonna be running out anywhere to go get some new ones. Wiring wise, we have got all the harnesses over here getting ready to be kind of trimmed up and re-loomed. kind of got everything organized, started doing a little bit of it, seeing what we can, what we can't move. So we should be good. So we've got, basically that is the transmission harness. From the transmission up into the engine harnesses. We've got engine harness number 1, second part of the engine harness, they kind of connect. There's like an A and a B, or a B and a C, whatever they got labeled. And then the main truck harness over here. Got that laid out. Really just wanted to kind of see lengthwise and see if any differences are, but it's actually very, very similar. Same length, just it's the additional plugs for the dually lights is really, I think, the only difference in this harness. So we should be good to actually just go ahead and put that right back in. Let's keep rolling. All right, well, we drilled that one out completely. We did not try and use the homemade C-clamp press. So that one is done, and now we're just down to the sleeve. The nice thing about the sleeve is you can go in here and kind of do all that. You're definitely not going to go through this sleeve. So if you don't have a press, you don't need to have a press to take the bushing out. I would say you could get creative on putting the bushing back in easier. Our press will work for going back in. Going out, just not all that much. So we're gonna go ahead and, usually I try and cut this sleeve a little bit because it's so thick right in this gap right here. And if you can cut that through, normally it'll all fold in a lot easier. So I'm gonna try and do that on this one, and then we should be good to go. The other side's done. Just got this one to do, and we'll be able to move on. This has been fighting us quite a bit today. Have been making some progress on de-looming all of the wiring harnesses off the truck, and lo and behold, we did find a couple more things than we were anticipating. Actually quite a few more. We've actually marked all of the issues in the harness with green zip ties, and as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, it's honestly a lot. I wish we would have kept the harnesses off the red parts truck. I've needed that red parts truck stuff that we've sold off of it more than I even care to admit. I am honestly kind of shocked that the truck even drove home. Like, it didn't have any lights on the dash. It was driving well, but we have got so many messed up plugs, and honestly the wires that are exposed on this harness, and this is the main engine harness. So we've got crank sensor. Coolant temp actually plays quite a bit into these trucks. We've got the intake for the intake horn. Very unsolid connections in a lot of important harnesses, especially the injector harness. That one, that's a good one. So what we thought was just a quick de-loom and refreshen up and maybe a couple quick things, it's gonna turn into quite a bit of harness repair. Honestly, because of time, I think we're gonna end up fixing this harness. If it were up to me with the amount of fixing that we're gonna have to do to this harness, I would highly suggest anyone else going to just get a new harness. Whether it's gonna bite us in the butt now or not, we're here. UCC, it may not seem like it, but it is around the corner. Over here on these other harnesses, we did find one major wire right here. That is an issue, and this is kind of like one of our main connectors. And then also on this one, this is for the transfer case. This one's actually pretty bad. So that one's been broken, been messed with. So we'll see about getting that unpinned and fixed up. But everything's kind of de-loomed. We've got a lot of stuff cleaned up. And that's where we're kind of at with the harnesses. So that's that. Michael actually spent a little bit of time today getting some new lines made up. Check that sucker out. Man, that's gonna look so good. All free-handed. Oh man, so good. If you guys haven't seen, the rear is basically completely out of this thing. We did get the new bushings in the leaf springs for the cowl tracks, so those are pretty much ready to go back on, but I don't see a point in putting the leaf springs back on until we go ahead and chop these mounts off, because I'm gonna have to basically cover the entire thing, and what's the point of blowing sparks all over all that stuff when it's already bare right now. The fuel sending unit debacle of what's been going on here. So tank is from a 0203 1500. It had a 04.5 up sending unit. The diameters and the tank depths are actually different in the earlier and later trucks. So actually a much different style cap as well, come to find out. We actually had a tank outside from an 03 diesel and a 05 and up diesel. So we were able to get measurements and everything, and this actually is the same dimensions, diameter and depth-wise, to a 03-ish, 0304, I would say, diesel truck. Anything above that, you get into a little bit different diameter, a little different mounting ring, which is actually what that tool is used for. I'll show you guys that. It's not meant for that style, ding-a-ling, but I'll show you guys that. But just know, if this is going to help anyone, there is tank differences between 0304 diesels and the 04.5 ups. We should be able to go get a fleece SureFlow for 0304, and that should work well with that, and we'll go ahead and fix up and get it mounted in there correctly. Actually just bolting the power steering pump on, because we're going to be rerouting these lines next. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to bolt this pump back on, get that in its location, and I'm just sitting here fiddle farting around, just trying to get the extra fluid out of it. And I'm like, wait a second, you guys see that? Hold on, I don't know if you guys can see that. It's wobbling. It's wobbling. It's not straight. If you have your belt off, it's always a good idea to spin your pulleys, just to make sure you don't have anything wild, funky, or crazy happening like that. Luckily, I believe we've got some spare power steering pumps. So we should be able to swap on a good brand used unit and be able to rock on. We need to basically get this thing outside, because it is finally time to bust out the fire wrenches and chop off these brackets, get them done, get this cleaned up, get this axle back in it, get our CalTrack bar installation done. Michael went ahead and rerouted our power steering lines. We've got our brake lines done. We're making steady progress on the shorty build. Again, the Peterbilt will be unveiled at UCC. The shorty will probably be complete unveiled at UCC. Pretty sure that we are bringing every single vehicle that I own. And then there's some vehicles that you guys don't even know about that may or may not be there too. Between now and UCC, things are gonna get fairly insanely crazy. And I apologize if things are a little all over the place, or if you're like, what the heck is wrong with you, Greg? Can you even put two thoughts together? The answer to that would be absolutely not. Ask the guys here. So anyway, we're gonna just try to get some more shorty progress done with the daylight that we have. We've got a lot of cleaning nonsense to do, but like I said, tons of boxes from the guys over at FLEECE. You know, the people that we have in our corner are truly some of the most amazing people. So when I tell you and I recommend people to you guys, if you need work done or you want stuff, know full-heartedly that I love the people that we work with. Personally, I know they run great businesses. I want to see you guys use them, because I know that they care deeply and just provide the best service or the best products out there. So, you know, just huge shout out to Cam at Knockout Customs, paintwork, transformation stuff. He helps us out so much. It's insane. The guys over at FLEECE with all their support. I just can't say it enough, because it truly wouldn't be possible without the whole entire team of guys here and companies and people out there making it happen for us. So, you know, and you guys as well, for all of your support. Can't forget you guys as well. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and cover up the cab even just a little bit more with more blankets, because if you guys know, as soon as you start throwing sparks,